event. If you're just joining us, my name is Shauna Siegel. I am the host and CEO of One Choice for Your Store. I also host Ecom Experts on Webmaster Radio, and I absolutely love education. I love education. It's absolutely wonderful. And if you want to learn more about me, just go check out my bio on the New Life Event website, because we are here to talk about the New Life Event. Make sure to please say a special thank you to our speakers. They're giving up their time and being here on the weekend, and we absolutely love them for that. If we didn't have these amazing speakers, we wouldn't have the awesome education. But I also have to give a special thank you to all of you. You know, we wanted to make this event free, but the only way we could do that is if you guys were the sponsors of the event. So it's your job to spread the word, and you really are doing an amazing job, and that's why there are these awesome prizes throughout the entire weekend. And don't forget, we have our really great grand prizes as well. So if you want to know more about winning and how to get involved and how to get into the chat room and all that other stuff, go to twitter-winner.com and go to the tweet chat. All the information is at twitterwinner.com. The tweetchat.com will automatically put in the hashtag that you need to automatically be entered into all the different contests. And you'll get to meet with other people here. You'll get to talk with them, network, and it just really is absolutely wonderful. Tim wanted to know, in the future, do you always claim the prize through Twitter Winner? Yes. Twitter Winner is also where you go to claim any of your prizes that you've won. That's the best way we can keep track, and it just really helps us for all you to go there, put in your information. That is basically our fourth backup to make sure that everybody wins their prize. All right, so upcoming schedule, this is it. This is it for the night, and then we're going to be back at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And we've got 12 webinars tomorrow. It's going to be a very big day, lots of great education. So if you have any questions, make sure to direct them to me. I'm on Twitter as New Life Event, or you can ask questions on the right-hand side. All right, let's go ahead and pass on the screen over to Matt, and also I'm going to unmute the poor guy, also known as the Kevin Costner sound-alike. And I think you should be unmuted, Matt.
Okay. Everybody hear me all right?
Perfect. All right. So if you could tell people a little bit about yourselves besides them knowing that you sound just like Kevin Costner and that we love you. Okay.
Well, my name is Matt Siltala, and I have a company called Dream Systems Media, and we're based out of Utah and Arizona. I'm the Arizona office, and been doing SEO or social media or internet marketing, web design in some form or another since 1997. So been doing this a long time. Dream Systems Media, just a few years old, and we've really just grown leaps and bounds. And we have our biggest passions are the viral marketing and social media, and we still have our grassroots in SEO and more of the traditional internet marketing stuff, but we're a boutique firm, and we love what we do.
Well, I think the only thing we need is for you to hit the start presentation, and then we can see everything perfect. Perfect. Now we're absolutely wonderful. All right, I will mute myself and let you take it away.
All righty. Thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate you having me on these again. I always enjoy doing them, and just hat tip to you for this monumental task. So, all right. Well, let's get into it. The reason why I love doing this presentation is because one of the biggest questions that I've been asked, and I guess it's not as big anymore. People are starting to finally get a clue. More and more people are starting to realize that, hey, I need to be on Facebook, or I need to be using the Twitter, or whatever it is. But a lot of them still don't have a clue what they're doing. But one of the biggest questions that I'm always asked is, what's the return of investment? Like, what's Twitter going to do for me, or what is marketing through social media, or why should I care about something getting on StumbleUpon, or there's lots of different questions, but it all comes down to what is the return? Why should I invest this when it comes to social media? And that's why I'm glad that I have this opportunity, because I think after this presentation, anyone that's listening to this, or anyone that listens to this on a replay, is never going to ask that question again. At least that's my goal. So, Here's a picture of me. So you know, I am not Kevin Costner. I'm not as pretty as him, but hey. All right, so let's get into it. I love to start off with this. The first slide. This is my son, and I just love this look. First of all, you know, any kind of presentation I have, if anybody knows me, any presentation I speak at, any other conferences that are out there that you all have probably heard of, I've used my kids in some form. It's just a fun way of doing it, in my opinion. But this one just worked out perfect because kind of what I was getting to when we first got into this was, you know, social media, it's pretty powerful, but it's like any kind of tool. If you don't know how to use it, then what's the point? What good is that tool? So I think it's kind of funny, this picture. My son, he's got a, you know, you can see that it's broad daylight. He's got a pic, you know, he's holding a flashlight, and he's kind of got this like clueless look on him, and so it's kind of funny, you know. To me, it illustrates this example, what I'm talking about perfectly. Okay. You know, he's got a flashlight. He needs to wait till dark to use it if he needs it. But it's a powerful tool that can be used. And so I kind of want you to think about this and remember this as you're doing this with your campaigns, or if what I talked about gives you guys any ideas or things like that, because, you know, you have to understand lots of, and we're going to get into all these, but, like, you know, what's the point of it all? This is a powerful tool. I need to learn how to use it. So we're going to get into each one of these specifically, but basically I want to help you guys understand that, and this is no secret right here, that good content equals links. But we're going to talk about stuff that you can, you know, think about doing in everyday life, stuff that made the news. We're going to talk about how to research top social sites, use answer sites to our benefits, help us keep on top of what's trending. And we're also going to talk about, is it worthy? I mean, I see a ton of garbage, you know, every day, and maybe when I first got started on this, I contributed to some of that garbage, but I think I got a pretty good idea now, and hopefully I'll be able to pass it on. But, you know, this is really what it's all about. No matter what kind of content, if you have, if it's an image, if it's an infographic, if it's some viral content, if it's content that's asked, that's answering questions in your industry, you know, whatever it is, videos, again, you know, think of all the different kind of content that can be put out there. If it's good, people are going to link to it, okay? There is no guessing game in that. I mean, if it's something that is worth linking to, people are going to link to it, okay? And so that's really the basis of all of this. And right there, I mean, that in itself, you could pack up the book and I'll go home now, because if you can create content that's worthy of getting links to, and you're getting links because of something that you put on Twitter or Facebook or Dig or wherever, that in itself I hope you would see as a really good investment. I mean, if you spend an hour creating a really good informational piece and it happens to send you 50,000 unique visitors, and you get a bunch of emails, and you get a bunch of new subscribers to your blog, you know, when you start doing the math and you start adding, okay, how many links did that get me? How many, you know, for the time that I spent on this? It really is easy to see. You know, again, I don't want to talk about the bad word of paid links, but, you know, if you're wanting to break it down and see, okay, how much, you know, return of investment am I getting, or return on investment am I getting with this? You know, in many cases with some of the pieces that we've done and some of the examples that I'm going to be getting into, you're going to see how, you know, you could build thousands and thousands of links, and when you're turning that into, okay, how much do you normally pay for links? We're talking like fractions of pennies for thousands of links built for really good content, for the money, effort, time, whatever you want to call it, put into it. And so that really right there, you know, we can stop it at that and move on, and that should be enough for you. But you know what? This needs to be an hour, so we'll keep going. Everyday life. I like giving you examples like this because I want you to think outside the box. I want you to think of things that happen in your everyday life, and no matter what industry you're in, because, you know, I'm an internet marketer. A lot of the stuff I blog about is marketing, but I still have other sites and other people that I market for, and other things that I do, that everything in my daily life, I think about stuff that could potentially be something that could go viral, or something that could do well. And so I'm giving you this picture. This is another one of my sons when he was 4 years old. I love this picture, one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken. You can see I didn't fix it up or anything. He's still got nice red eyes, but I included this picture because on a post that I did, and I'm going to show you some of the results on it in a second, but I posted this picture with a story, and I posted it on a marketing blog, and I talked about how my 4-year-old son told me to Google it. It was one of the funniest things ever. I was looking around something in my office one day, and I was looking for something, and he's 4 years old, and I don't think he pays attention to what I do. He doesn't really get on the computer at that point, and he just pops up and tells me, well, you should Google it, Dad. And I'm like, what? How does this kid even know? They pay attention, I guess. But so anyway, I just wrote a story about that, and I wrote a story how I thought it was funny, and this screenshot was taken years later, and this was probably back in, when was it? I can't remember exactly. I mean, it was like 5 years ago, maybe 4.5, 5 years ago. But I took this screenshot last year. I couldn't find it in the top 3, and I just didn't want to go. But this will still, prove my point that even years later, when you type in Google it, it still showed up on the 3rd page. You see here, but 3rd page may not seem like that impressive. But it was on the 1st page for probably the first couple of years. And this was just a blog post. And you guys know how they just filter through, and they don't last very long. But this showed up on the 1st page for several years, and we got so much traffic from it, so many comments, and it was fun. It made the front page of Dig, and that's another thing. It was on a marketing blog at the time, and it made the front page of Dig, and this was back when Dig was good. So you should know that that's a feat. And if you look at it, I did a screenshot here for you. Yeah, that's 8 billion, not 8 million, 8 billion, billion. 8,300,000, and it was still showing up probably about 6 months ago on the 3rd page. And like I said, I didn't check to see where it was today exactly, but it's not one of my sites anymore. It's not a site that I push or anything, but I still use it as an example because it's powerful what a good piece of content can do, a real piece of content, something that wasn't made up, something that happened in my everyday life, and people just connected with it. And so I'm bringing this up because as you're doing stuff, you can relate it to your industry. You can figure out ways to make it work for you. And again, this is just one example of your everyday life around you. Here's another example. How to sell on Craigslist. We were coming up on the 1st page. This is again for another blog that I used to blog for. And out of 4.5 million sites, on the 1st page, you get a lot of referrals from this. I basically made $500 on Craigslist in about 10 minutes, just screwing around, testing some different stuff. And so again, I wrote a blog post about it, pushed it through social media. It made the front page of Dig again. So this same website 2 times, way back when Dig was good. And it sent literally hundreds of thousands of unique visitors in a couple of days, and still ranks to this day very well. We still get a lot of referrals from it. And it's just interesting because, these are the things that you can blog about, you can write about, you can talk about. All right, let's talk about made the news, okay? So this is, obviously one of the easy ones. You can keep an eye out for stuff that's going on locally. Let's say you have a local business, or you can blog, be a hyper-local blogger about very specific areas, news events, things that are going on or whatnot. You can do stuff like that, or it could be on a national level depending on what your product or your industry is. But the bottom line is keep an eye on Google News, Yahoo News, whatever. You can even look at the press sites like PR Web. You can watch the social news sites as well. But basically what you're keeping an eye on is you're looking at things that you could either blog about, talk about. I had a great conversation with a friend the other day that does stuff like this. Like, he knows that certain events happen all the time. For example, like the Boston Marathon. Well, he'll have blog posts ready for those events, basically all written out, all filled out, ready to go. And when the winner's announced or when something happens, and this could be used for anything, he basically just has to plug names in, things in like that, and you're ready to go. You know if something's going to be talked about. You know if something's going to be, if it's going to be showing up somewhere, people are going to want to link to it, and you're one of the first people to get news on it, and it's out there, then that's automatically going to get you links. That's going to be something that you can push through Twitter. People are going to retweet you. You're going to share on Facebook. This is going to be one of those things where you can set off a lot of those social signals. And so, again, keeping an eye on stuff like this through the news is huge. It's something that, definitely, and again, when we're talking about the ROI with social media, well, if you're the first one tweeting about stuff, you're going to be getting followers. If you're the first one that's writing about it, you're going to get people linking to you, and you're getting it out there through the social media. Most times when people write something or they have something to say, they tell everyone about it on Twitter or they share it on Facebook. There's lots of that kind of ways, to get it out there, and we're going to dive more deep into that. But again, at this point, what we're talking about is just figuring out the kind of stuff that we can even talk about, kind of content that we can come up with, that we can push through these outlets. All right, here's some places where you should absolutely do your research on. Dig, it's definitely not what it was or what it used to be. I'm not seeing 100, 200,000 unique visitors in a few hours from a front page like I was a couple years ago, but it is still it's still doing well for the juice and the trust and the extra link value that it gives you. I mean, in many cases, if you have a good enough piece and it does make the front page and it does good, you can type in a keyword phrase if it's part of that title, and guess what? Besides your URL, or in many cases just the dig URL, is going to be the one that comes up in the top results, even years later. And so they're still pushing a lot of trust to it. It still has a lot of trust. It still sends a lot of traffic. There's still a lot of media outlets that look to dig to find stories, and then they find those stories, and then they link to you. But again, doing your research on these kind of sites is key, because unless you know the type of content that is really, for Reddit, they're not going to do. It's not going to do much. I mean, still to this day, I have a problem trying to figure out Reddit and what it likes. But it's pretty easy with the other ones. I mean, like Delicious and Mix, for example. I mean, they're more bookmarking, Stumble Upon as well. But these are sites that can send a lot of traffic. Especially Stumble Upon, Dig, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit. Really good. But they could give your website a ton of traffic. It sets off a lot of social signals that are good for your overall portfolio for ranking and all your SEO efforts and blah blah blah. But it has value in just the people use these communities. There are people that will find you on Twitter that wouldn't have found you in other places. And so, but it's important to see how people are using Twitter. How they're sharing their links. Do they have an account that's just auto-posting all their blogs, and they don't interact with anyone, and they don't do anything with it? Well, that kind of an account's going to do you nothing. It's going to be worthless for you. It's going to be crap. And so, you want to make sure that you are doing the research on Dig, seeing what kind of stuff is going to be on the front page. And I have a slide where I'm going to talk about, is it worthy or not. But, I mean, if you go and do any kind of research on the top stories, what's got the most digs, it's going to be really clear to see that, hey, if I submit my product page, I have a furniture site, and I submit my Lazy Boy product site URL or whatever, it's not going to do anything on Dig. It becomes very apparent what works and what doesn't. And so don't be stupid. And the thing is, you'll see a lot of people get on there and try to submit those kind of URLs, and you're just wasting time. You're doing nothing for you. So again, do your research. Go to the individual sites, see the stories that are retweeted the most, see the stories that have the most stumbles, the most digs. If you do a search on Dig, you can do you can push a button to see the most dug, and so it's really easy to figure out on a lot of these. Some of them you have to work a little bit, but do your research. One good way to build up these accounts and to also do research is a good buddy of mine. You saw some of those sites before that I used to blog on, 97th Floor. Not my company, but I used to be a part of it with Chris Bennett. He's got an awesome tool here, social media for Firefox and Chrome now. Basically what it does is it it allows you to see if certain content pieces have been submitted to any of the major social networks that are out there. So you can come across content and see, all right, well, this thing has gotten 24,000 views on StumbleUpon, but no one submitted it to Dig yet. Well, let me go submit it to Dig and start building up my accounts, or vice versa. And so you can use this tool for research. You can see, you can go to certain URLs maybe that are your competitors, and you can go to their blog, and you can start running it through all their posts. And you can start seeing the kind of content that's been shared the most. And you can start to do a little bit of the evaluation of, this is the kind of stuff that works really well, or this is the kind of stuff from my competition that doesn't seem to work really well. And then you can start, some good brainstorming, some good, so you guys didn't know that listening to me tonight, you're going to get a little competitive intel as well. All right, let's talk about the answer sites. I love answer sites because this is probably going to be one of your best ways to get content that your industry is looking for right now. I mean, these are questions that people, for the most part, are asking right now about your industry. Okay, if you sell furniture and people are asking, what's the best kind of, and you go and you type in on one of these places, furniture, and you start getting a list of results, and you see one of the questions that people are asking is, what's the best kind of chair for a person with a bad back, or I just had back surgery, what's the best chair, and you sell these kind of chairs, then again, it's a good thing. You may have never known that unless you go and look at the kind of questions that people are asking about in your specific industry. And so, again, this gives you a good opportunity to write the kind of content that are going to make people want to link to it. So when you tweet it, people are going to retweet it because it's something that's useful. So when you share it on Facebook, there may be some people that want to like it or share it as well. Or maybe it's good enough that maybe you found 10 stupid answers in your industry, or not stupid answers, 10 ridiculous or stupid questions in your industry, and you thought it was funny. Maybe you put together a blog post about your industry questions, saying this is why you need to come to a trusted source like me, because look at the answers you're going to get or the questions that are asked, and you can share the silly answers or silly questions or whatever it may be. There's lots of different ways that you can take this and have fun with it and make them work for you. But that's why I love answer sites. There's, in my opinion, a never-ending opportunity of content and ideas. And you have to understand, with any of this that I'm saying, I'm not saying go to Dig, for the research and find something that worked and copy it. I'm telling you, use these places for examples. If you find a bunch of people asking questions about what's the best what's the best chair for my back that I just had back surgery on, and guess what? That's a great blog post. That's something for you to I mean, heck, that may even be really good, just general content you have on that page where you're selling that chair. So, I mean, it goes way beyond a lot of this kind of, stuff with, just what you may have originally been thinking that, viral marketing, infographics, and sending massive amounts of traffic to your site, as opposed to coming up with the kind of content that's going to be really good for your industry. But it's all tied in together. It can all work well. And that's kind of what I'm hoping you're getting. And I do talk a million miles an hour, and I talk about a lot of things. And it's like, have you ever seen that movie Up? And the dog's like, squirrel! I'm like that. If there's a shiny object or something in my mind pop by, I'm like, squirrel! And anyway, so moving on, squirrel. You can use Google Trends. I just took this screenshot today. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on right now in the news about Libya and Gaddafi, and there's been earthquakes that have been going on. Obviously, on the right here, the hot searches, about Charlie Sheen and the rant that he made and then canceling 2.5 Men. You can see it there. But depending on what kind of a blog that you have, depending on what kind of an industry you're in, you may be able to find something from these places. I mean, like up here, you see for what's trending, I put this arrow where it says furniture. Let's say you do sell furniture. You can do a search on it. You can get some ideas. You can see what may be hot, what may be trending at this point. And so it's another good area for you to get ideas. If I have again, if I run an entertainment blog, you better believe that I would be blogging about Charlie Sheen. I would be posting some pictures. I would be trying to find a video to embed. I would try to be doing something to capture on what's trending right now. Okay. All right. I promised you I'd get to this. Now, I love Billy Mays, and he's no longer with us. Rest in peace. But I used to love his amazing. I mean, he was one of my favorite pitchmen of all time. And I like this because just because you can pitch it doesn't mean you should. And I truly believe that. So you have to ask yourself, is it worthy? Is what you're trying to put on Dig or what you're pushing out there on Twitter or what you hope will go viral, is it really worthy of going viral? And you can answer that question by really doing that research and understanding what works and what doesn't. And so if you've done the research, if you've gone through and you've done your homework, so to speak, then you have a little bit better of an idea. But again, I just I'm stressing this point to you because I don't I've seen it happen too many times. Just don't assume because you think something's cool or you have a product page that's awesome that the masses are going to like it. You've got to go and do that research and see how you can turn that into something for you. Okay, and I'm going to give you some examples of that. So here are those examples. You got to think outside the box. Okay, here's for a mattress website. Okay, this was on RockyMountainMattress.com. They sell mattresses, and so they wanted to create something that was funny that would get people talking. Maybe something a little bit provocative, if you will. Technologies that prevent you from sleeping well. Okay, this maybe has nothing to do with a mattress itself, but it's related to sleeping. It's something that could be talked about. It's something that is close enough to the industry that it makes sense. Okay, if you have your iPhone out all night, which I hate to admit I'm guilty of this, but I probably could get a lot better sleep at night if they hadn't invented the iPhone. You hear that little ding or someone tweeted you or update on Facebook, you're like, what am I going to miss at 11:30 at night when I should be sleeping? Oh my gosh. I open it up and I look, oh, someone, is drunk right now. Anyway, it's a big waste of time, but that's the point of this. It gets you a laugh. Obviously, we included a vibrator on there to get people laughing about it or talking about it. But this is the kind of stuff where, this is an infographic at its simplest, if you will. It'll drive people to the side. It'll make them laugh. They'll go in there and they'll make comments saying, hey, you forgot this, or you should have added that, or whatever. Might be funny. Here's another example we did for a group. And again, this is where when you're thinking outside that box, you got to think of controversy. Okay, we did a piece for a group, they're a group selling amplifiers, but obviously it's related. If I need to tell you how, then let me smack you through the screen. But evolution of the electric guitar. We added all of, and this piece, it did so well that people wanted it on T-shirts. People wanted it on posters. I mean, they loved it. But here's the key. If you look over to the very, very right, the last one, 2008, and they actually just retired it from what I heard, but the Guitar Hero controller. This went absolutely nuts. The gamers and the people that loved it, we put it out when it was more popular, this graphic, and it went nuts. The gamers were like, that's awesome that you put it on there. And then the purists, the electric guitar purists were like, this graphic was awesome, except you're stupid for putting that on there. That ruined it. I want this graphic without that on it. But the point was it got people talking about it. It got people linking to it. It got people viewing it. And I'm going to show you some statistics here when we're done. But again, it's just a great piece that gets people involved. It takes them back. They remember, oh, I had that 1979 one or whatever. All right, here's more of a content type viral, and this is more of an in-house type one. Okay, we did this for a home improvement or like a Home Depot online, if you will. And on I think I'm going to show you the statistics for it, but I think it's got like 24,000 uniques just from StumbleUpon alone. But we provided it as more of a in-house informational piece. A lot of the most commonly the most common questions that these guys are asked. And it was a very useful piece, but it also got a lot of mainstream attraction because of just how we put it out there. The 10 most common home improvement frequently asked questions, blah, blah, blah. So again, it doesn't have to just be a graphic. The content can, it can be in a content form like this. Here's another one that's in content form that did extremely well. It was around Christmas time. We had a client that wants to promote, people buying more of their beer of the month clubs and stuff like that. Well, I thought, some of these that I saw on this list, my first thought was, there's some really funny beer names that are out there, and I thought it would be, funny to showcase that. And, it's, again, just an idea I had, and it took off, and it went really well. Hope I don't offend anyone with this one, but this one was a little controversial. It was funny. We did it for a group that, would your mother approve of that app? And we went through, like 15 or 20 apps that were in the App Store. Some of them have been banned by now, but it made the front pages dig. You see how many digs it got? I mean, it just, the numbers, this was taken a screenshot when it first happened, but the numbers are well beyond this. But it was just really controversial. It was funny. Some of them were shocking. It worked really well with the group that we were doing it for, because the one that sponsored this was a plastic surgeon, and one of their apps was one of the ones we featured, and actually got so much traffic to their website after we did this that it took their server down. And it was one of those oops. Well, we kind of warned them that it might, but it was funny. Here's one, and I don't know if this will work, but maybe Shauna can let me know. But I want to kind of maybe I wonder if I could go online with this. I've never tried it.
Yep, you can. We're going to see your live screen. So if your live screen goes online, we go online with you.
All right, excellent. So I'm going to hopefully do this and not mess it up, and I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to pull up. I'm going to pull this up here. But that video that I was showing you guys, or that image with that. Here, let me just pull it up one more time. Sorry, I'm just going to go back to this. It's going to mess it up. But it was showing you the recalled products of 2009 through 2010, and I'll pull it up right here and I'll show you. But if you type in what is it, recalled baby products. One of the results that I believe was in the top 10 right here. Yep, Hug-a-Monkey. We did it for this group right here, Hug-a-Monkey, and I'll pull it up. So you see it ranks just for that. So it comes up here, and here's the infographic itself. These are all the recalled products just in 2009 to 2010. It's kind of scary if you ask me. But these guys sell a baby sling, and there was a time in 2009 when a baby sling was recalled and banned because it had killed an infant or something like that. They had approached us about what we could do to help them get the word out about theirs, that it was okay. And so we had this idea to come up with a recalled baby product, and so anyway, we did it. It did really well. It was picked up by the consumerist. And it's funny, I'll point something out. Sometimes it's not about how well it does on a popular social network. Like, it didn't even make the front page of Dig. It didn't even get very many digs. It got shared a lot on Facebook, but the consumers picked it up, and that sent more traffic than any of those others combined. But then what these guys did was they took advantage of the traffic and what this does, and they did some good internal linking. And if you go to Google and you type in baby slings, mind you, one of their biggest keyword phrases, you'll see they're number 2. I was hoping to show you they were number 1. They've been number 1 for a long time. Well, we did that graphic a long time ago, so they need to call me again. But anyway, so I hope that kind of shows you guys the power and what it can do. All right, so let's go back to this. Whoops. Sorry, guys. I screwed up my screen. Bear with me while I get through these. Someone want to sing a song?
Well, there's a great
All right,
question
so
that you might want to know.
Okay.
They're asking, are you for hire?
I am absolutely. I am absolutely for hire. We do these both, but we're going to talk about it in a minute. But
Yep.
I'll give you a little teaser. One lucky person on tonight is going to win one of these infographics from our company, and a push to go along with it too.
Oh, so awesome. Okay, I'm going back on mute. Sorry.
No problem. And we'll talk when we're done here. How to get a hold of us? It's pretty easy. All right, so here's another one from Thinking Outside the Box. We did a graphic on all the history of the marketing channels that were out there. This ranks for marketing channels now. It got featured in the Razorfish publication. It got featured on Marketing Pilgrim, Andy Bill's big blog. It's been featured in a lot of slides at SMX, SES, like a lot of different major conferences. So it's gotten a lot of play. And I just, I thought it was interesting. The reason why I wanted to come up with this graphic is because, it's interesting what the internet has done for us, because we have, just this timeline here of, there's a few things here and there for marketing, and then boom, the internet comes, and it's like, looks like, if you kind of look at this blurry, it kind of looks like a spaceship with wings. But anyway, it just boom, it expanded, and it's just nuts what happened. So, all right, if I don't move on, I'm not going to get through all these slides. So, here's the proof. That guitar, and I'm not going to show you all of them, but that guitar piece, and this has gone up. I think it's like closer to 80 or something now, but I didn't feel like doing a new screenshot. I'm lazy. Got 61 reviews at the time, and it's obviously that graphic we showed you. I mean, a lot of good traffic, a lot of good links built to it. Does the site well. We did a funny one called the Redneck Home Remodels. Absolutely blew up. 241,000 uniques so far to the site. It was a great piece. Here's one I like to brag about, because, in my opinion, and if I have any scrapbookers out there, I'm sorry, but in my opinion, one of the most boring industries, as far as I'm concerned, is scrapbooking. Please don't yell at me. I know there's probably a lot of moms on here, but so I had to think, what's something that would be funny for this? And again, I thought of redneck, because I thought of putting a redneck scrapbook together, and I can't share the image here because this is just a screenshot, but the piece, and if you did a search on your own computer for redneck scrapbook or something like that, you'll find it, but it's pretty funny. We put funny looking pictures of redneck things, and we made it look like it was a scrapbooking thing, but we did it with duct tape, and anyway, it blew up, as you can see, and it was really funny. So you can make boring industries go viral. You can absolutely make them have fun. So here's that Beer of the Month one that I was showing you. Whoops, I clicked through it too quickly, but 62,000 uniques. All right, make it clickable. So you want to take notice of ads and stories. This is my best suggestion for you when you're thinking about stuff and you're doing your research. A lot of people use us because we can just think of these off the top of our head, but I'm not special. You could do this too. Think about when you're going through the grocery store and you're looking at that National Enquirer, what makes you want to pick it up? It's those headlines, those titles, things like that. So start to take notice of that. What kind of stuff in your industry? Think of sexy ways to write stuff instead of I always like using this example, but what would make you want to click more? And if I did an article that said how to tell if you need a new mattress, or how to tell if you've had too much sex on your old mattress. Okay, now I'm not saying you always have to be risky and everything, but you get the point of how to make, how to come up with a title that leads people to the same content, but it's more clickable. Okay, so again, look at those things that make you want to click. Look at the magazines. Research the competition. Make it clickable. All right, here's the most important one. Now this will help you with the ROI, everything. Okay, time spent on Twitter and Facebook. What are you trying to accomplish? If you're just on Twitter, like, what is your goal? I had an awesome conversation with a guy the other day about, he made the comment that Twitter is like an empty cave. It's like, hello. It's because he didn't know how to use it and he wasn't educated. And I had a little bit of conversation with him about, well, what would you like to get out of Twitter? What would you like it to do? Because I started explaining to him where, you know what, I follow people in my industry and I do this, this, and this, and I get people asking questions about, hey, do you know someone that does this? I say, yes, I know someone that does that. I send it to him, and guess what? That guy that I sent him to has a relationship with me, and, there's just lots of different stuff that you can do to make it work for you. I mean, there's people that get on all the time and say, hey, do you know someone that is really good with viral marketing? And they'll say, go talk to Matt. And it's all through Twitter. And so once you know what your, if your goal on Twitter is to build a community of people in your industry around you, so when you tweet something out that you blogged about on your website, or when you're participating in a conversation, or you're trying to find people that are talking about the stuff in your industry, you have to know what the purpose of it is. I mean, you have to know, if I'm going to create this funny infographic or this content piece, what's my goal with it? My goal is to not make sales with it at first, because my goal is to drive a lot of traffic to the site, get a lot of buzz, get a lot of people linking to me, so then I can then use that page to help me further my SEO purposes, to help me rank for additional keyword phrases, to help get more awareness and trust to my blog. Again, it's just providing that useful content that's going to make your website, more appealing to those that determine the ranking of it. And so, that's really the best advice that I can give you is, when you're doing any of this, what are you trying to accomplish? So, voting and sharing, obviously, the more word you get out, the more branding, relationship building, that's pretty much a given. Networking, you're networking with the right-minded people. I mean, for example, I think, like with Shauna, with these, for example, I mean, I can't remember if it was through Twitter or just she went to a session of mine or whatnot, but I mean, I have people that I meet through Twitter, and then I meet them in real life when I'm speaking at a conference, and these are the same kind of people that ask you to do stuff like this. Obviously, me doing stuff like this is very beneficial. You guys now know about me. More people might link to me. More people might follow me on Twitter. More people might use my services. And so, that's the point of all this. And again, this is just in my industry, but you can make it work with whatever industry you're in. And then with all of that comes the sales. I mean, if you do it all right, you're gonna get sales, and that's just the way it is. All right, so this is a new section I added in. With all this, you don't want to forget the mobile side of it, because these are all apps that I have on my iPhone. But when it comes to social media, these are all social websites as well. A lot of them that are mobile ones, like Yelp or Foursquare, go off. But you don't want to forget about the mobile side of all this either. Here's something that I thought was interesting. We did a survey for SMX Advanced last year, and me and Will Scott with Search Influence, big local guy, and local marketing dude, great friend of mine. But we did this survey together, and we spoke on this together. It was interesting for us because, have you ever heard of any of these? Click all that apply. Yelp by far was the biggest winner. Now, my guess is this might be a little bit different. In the last few months, Groupon has exploded, so that's probably going to be a little bit higher. But the thing that I thought was interesting was like the insider pages, or the ones that are more of the yellow book and that kind of stuff. As far as most people online and business owners, they're aware of the ones that are good for them. Now, this is the most interesting. This next slide was the most interesting one for me, because these are owners of businesses that used Foursquare, and they were asked, if you had to pay for it, would you still use it? And this is my point that businesses are not educated as far as it comes to these social services, especially these location-based services, because we asked them questions like, do you use Foursquare? Yes. Does it bring people to your door? Yes. Have you seen an increase in business because of it and people checking in? Yes, yes, yes. All these people were answering yes, yes, yes. We like Foursquare, and then it comes down to, if you had to pay for it, would you? You can see an overwhelming majority said no. So it's like, what? Hello? They're just not getting it. And that's where, I'm hoping to educate you and help you understand that, these outlets, they may be gone a year from now, but right now is what, right now people are using them and they're hot. And it's like I tell people, 5 years ago, if I would have told you MySpace was going to be a joke 5 years from now, you all would have, burned me at the stake. You would have laughed at me. And now look at it. I mean, it is a joke, and I don't hardly know anyone that uses it. So, you never know what's going to happen to Facebook. You never know what's going to happen to any of these. But if you're putting all your eggs in just one of these baskets, you'll probably, get burned. But the point is, take advantage of them for what they're, what they're offering you now. Giving you examples, because the return of investment with social media, it works on mobile too. Because, like, let's say you're at Twitter and you're tweeting something or whatnot, and like this, for example, this this guy had was talking about his birthday, and so the guys were paying attention at Joe's Real Barbecue, noticed that this guy was probably a guy that checks in a lot and was like, hey, come in and get a free, eat free today on us because it's your birthday. That's going to get him talking about it. That's going to get him tweeting about it. That's going to be one of those things that more people are going to be tweeting about Joe's Real Barbecue on Twitter. That's going to set off signals inside Google. They're going to see, okay, lots of people are blogging about them, lots of people are writing reviews about them, lots of people are tweeting about them, lots of people are doing lots and lots of stuff for Joe's Real Barbecue. He needs to be ranked higher on the places when it comes in. So all this ties in. If you're not doing anything with social media, if you're not on Twitter, if you're not on Facebook, if you're not on Foursquare, Koala, any of them, and your competition is, they're at benefit. They're going to be the ones benefiting because they're the ones sending off more social signals. So again, even if it's something you say, hey, I don't know how to use it or it doesn't work, you know what? You need to figure it out because eventually it's going to hurt you. All right. So I think I already got into all this, but I jump ahead of myself sometimes. But additional benefits with all this, link citations, more people will find you with images. If you're a local business and you're doing this and you upload a lot of your food dishes or your menus or something, additional rankings. So when you type in a certain keyword phrase, not only does your website, but your Yelp listing, your Foursquare listing, your Koala, you basically take control of the SERPs, good reputation management. Tweeting about you, Facebooking, these are all social signals that will set off people blogging about you. They know you directly. You get, what's the benefit? More foot traffic right into your business, obviously. All right. Get creative. I like throwing this one on there because, again, you say there's a lot of stupid social networks out there. I think Daily Booth is one of them, but yet I'm still on it every day. I just was having fun one day screwing around, and I took a picture of myself in the forehead, as you see. You see down here I got 23 comments, and it was one of those things that more people now know about me, more people follow me, more people know what I do. Again, it's another place that's linking out. It's just one of those things where sometimes you have to be creative, and I didn't give this one for any other purpose than, just realize that it's just one of those things that you just, sometimes you got to be creative. Some resources for you. I share with you the social media for Firefox. It's also with Chrome now. Know them if you're wondering how on earth can I get all of these social media. If I'm supposed to be on Dig, Twitter, Stumble, on Facebook, Reddit, Delicious, blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's hundreds of them. How are you supposed to, be on top of it and claim your name and do anything? Well, Noam does the hard part for you. You may not be able to go in and participate on all of them, but they will go in and claim them all, and they will go in and make sure that no one cyber squats them or anything like that. So I mean, it's a great service if you feel you don't have the time to go take care of it yourself. Who's Talking? Another good social search engine. A lot of you might be familiar with Joe Hall on Twitter. Awesome dude. Great social media type search engine. Twitter has good search and lists. You can find people based on their list. You can find industries. This would be good for you to build something around your industry. Again, image search, SEO for Firefox, a great tool by Aaron Wall. I love. And I'm running out of time, but all right, I can take a breath. Shauna, we've reached that time.
I'm so sorry. I had to find my unmute button, so I apologize.
No problem.
So I have some great news for iEcoMart, who was the last person to tweet when that came up. Oh, excuse me. And it's talking about using Twitter successfully. It wants to know about using Twitter successfully for B2B selling only, because iEcoMart would like to learn about what works, and that's a great question. So iEcoMart, I have a feeling you're going to learn about that information this weekend. So good job.
Excellent. So she is the winner then.
iEcoMart is definitely the winner, and you're going to have to go to and he. That's the business name, iEcoMart. So, yes, go to twitter-winner.com, submit your information so we can get it over to Matt, and congratulations. You just won an amazing, amazing prize.
Congratulations. I'm excited to do it for you. So, very good. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think I just got maybe one or two more slides, and we'll wrap this up and answer any questions.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, that's awesome. So basically, we're at the end of this. The most important thing that I could recommend to any of you is track what you're doing. Okay. One of the best ways to keep an eye on your social presence and what people are talking about you, what's popping up, is Tracker. Okay. If you're too cheap to pay for anything, which I say that because I'm too cheap sometimes to pay for certain things, but Google Alerts. It's really basic. It's really cheap. It's free. It does what you need to do on Google anyway. It basically alerts you to anything that's indexed or talked about. Pretty much real time. You can get it emailed right to you. TweetBeat, Twitter, all these are you can go to them and see what the purpose of them is. But basically, all of them help you track what you're doing and keep an eye on everything. And so, again, I'm just wanting to, okay, good. Just wanted to leave a little bit of time if there are any questions, because I know that we're running towards the end of that. I sometimes I wonder, am I gonna be able to fill up an hour? And then I realized, 45 minutes into it that I talk too much. So.
Yeah, I don't think anybody minds. I mean, the comments you're going to have to go search the hashtag to see all the comments about you. Yeah, you're going to have you have plenty of people talking about you. A lot of the ladies are especially saying, can you stay another hour? So yeah, there's a lot of questions. So if you don't mind answering some of these great questions, we would really appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem. Why don't you just pick a handful of them and we'll go from there.
Perfect. And the first one is from Lee, and it's a really great question. What's the biggest mistake businesses make regarding starting social media?
I think that's a great question, by the way. I think the biggest mistake they make is not having a plan, not knowing the purpose of why they're using it. If someone tells you, you should be on Dig, or you should get your content on Dig, and they go and they get a Dig account and they start submitting their product URLs, I mean, the biggest mistake is not really knowing what the purpose of these sites are. How does Twitter differentiate from Facebook? How do I use Twitter differently from Facebook? From my Facebook page? How do I use it differently from, StumbleUpon? What kind of content should I get on there? What kind of content, should I get on on Dig or Delicious or any of them. You know, how do I run that Twitter account? How do I interact with people? I mean, these are all, you know, hour-long sessions each in themselves. But I think if you go and do a little bit of research and you see the kind of, you know, people that are dominating the certain spaces in your industry, you can kind of get a good idea of what they're doing. And again, it just comes back to that research or competitive intelligence. If you constantly see what, you know, most of you guys, I'm willing to bet, know who your competitors are when you Google your keyword phrase or whatever, and you see the top results that come back. My guess is most of you know who your competition is. So when you go to their website, you know, go look at their Twitter stream. You know, that most of them probably have a button right there on their home page that says, you know, follow us on Twitter or whatever. What are they doing? How many followers? Who are they following? What kind of interaction are they having? You know, what is their Facebook page doing? How are they building that community? You know, or what are they sharing? How are they getting people to engage? And so I think the biggest thing is like I said, you know, they get on without having a purpose. And, you know, some of that may be us as marketers' fault, too, for just telling them, hey, you know, they go to a session at a big conference and we say, you need to be on Twitter, you need to be on Facebook, you need to be blah, blah, blah. But we don't really ever have the time to tell them exactly why or how to do it. And so I think once you figure out that purpose, you do that research, you see your competitors, you see what they're doing, you see the kind of content that's on these websites, you see how people use them. You know, I'm talking really get in and understand it and then come up with a strategy. You know, don't just come up with a strategy that says, I plan on doing 2 tweets a day, and all the rest of it's going to be auto, you know, from a feed or something, auto posting. You know, really use it as a strategy, going in and finding people that are related to your industry, interacting with them, answering them. You know, finding out who they are, where they blog, leaving comments. I mean, again, I probably need to stop talking about this, but I guess I'll just leave it at just have that goal, you know, that main purpose of why you're on there. Don't just get on there to be on there because everyone says to do it.
No, there are no truer words than that, and it's extremely important. And you know, definitely look at our schedule for this weekend, and you're going to see some speakers that are really going to help you with that. And another great question from Wade is, even if you have good content, is there a rule of thumb on the best length for an article? What do you try to follow? Good question.
Yeah, it is. It is a great question. What's funny is I actually saw a job posting from it was either ProBlogger or Copy Blogger. I think it was ProBlogger, but I mean, who's one of the huge industry gurus in copywriting and all that stuff and blogging. He had a blog post out that said something about you have to have this job description. You have to be able to put out at least 2 300 to 500 word blog posts a week, and there was something that was like 500 to 800 word blog posts a week. And you know, it got me thinking. I was like, hey, if this guy who's a known guru in the space suggests these kind of lengths, then maybe we ought to pay attention to it. But I've always typically tried to stay at you know, I mean, if it's an infographic, I mean, it's going to speak for itself, but a lot of times I'll go back into it and I'll add maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs, and I don't really pay attention to the amount of words. But if I am just doing content, I'm trying to pay attention to something like that, I guess the best answer for me would be anywhere between, you know, 500 to 800 words. But if you get your point across and it's good and you have something that's useful in there, I think people are going to link to it and it's going to be good anyway. But if you're sticking a gun to my head, that's my answer, you know, 500 to 800 words.
Great information. And the other thing that you will find is also that when you're writing for the web, you want to write it a little bit differently. So that's something to think about as well. I mean, you don't want to put like huge paragraphs together. You have to think about that as well.
You're right. Yeah, that's perfect. Good job for bringing that up, because you want to have those bullet points. You want to have something that's bold. You want to, you may have 500 or 800 words, but there may be someone that goes in there and only reads your bullet points or only reads the things that you have highlighted or whatnot. And so you want to make sure those are the points that you get across. So yeah, absolutely.
There's actually a website. I don't know if you guys have heard it, but it's actually a book as well. It's called styleguide.yahoo.com. And actually, you can do a search called Yahoo Style Guide. I have the book as well. It's a really great book, and it actually teaches you about writing strong headlines and how to write for the web, and it teaches you about bolding and how to make things look attractive and really make things stand out. I mean, it's more about than just, okay, how do you write an article? It's how to write specifically for the web to get people to read it, and it's a really great book. So I don't know, do some research on it. I found it extremely helpful, and I love referring to it. And I don't know, you might find some. I wish I had more time to read it. So we do have a question. What do you think of 2linkme.com? Number 2linkme.com.
Honestly, I'm sorry, I haven't ever heard of it. So
oh, okay.
I can answer that after I look at it.
All right, so add a Twitter. What makes these image search useful?
I'll give you a couple examples in the e-commerce space. For example, I have several websites in the e-commerce space, and what we found is when we do.
Can I interrupt real quick? I'm so sorry. I just heard this, and I figured we could do this real quick. Could you put up your previous slide on different tracking tools and sites while we're doing this?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you. Yep. Okay. Perfect. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh, no problem. Now I lost my train of thought. What?
Oh, I do that too. I completely understand.
I'm getting old.
Hey, I am. My birthday's Monday. I'm getting old. Let me get back to the question about what makes image search useful.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right. So it's well, especially with.
Oh, and by the way, Matt, you said it depends.
Oh, dang. You got me. Well, hey, technically, it's 8:03. We're 3 minutes past, so she didn't get me through the hour.
Okay. Okay. All right, image search.
All right. So with infographics, it's obviously, another one of those things that if it's done right and you've set it up, you've named the image right after a keyword that it's associated with, you've given it the right alt text, you've given it a good caption, you're surrounding it, if you do put it in content, I mean, it's going to come up for keywords, and there will be people that search that. But from an e-commerce point of view, we sell a lot of different products that we found that people actually go and they find what they want, or they're thinking about something they want. They're looking for it online. Like, let's say for a mattress, for example, they're looking for a tri-fold mattress. They want to see what a tri-fold mattress looks like. They search for it. They find it. They find one of our results for it because it's in the top. They click on it. They're at our website, and that image is now referred to us, and we'll talk to them, and they'll be like, yeah, I was doing an image search and I found this, and I want to learn more about it, and they buy from us. And so, I mean, there's obvious benefits like that, but I mean, people do their research and people use the image search. I mean, if people didn't use the image search, then Google probably wouldn't have it on there.
Now, here's another great question that goes with it. How do you get your stuff on image search?
Great question. There's times when I've done certain things that have got it on there, and then there's times where I've done the exact same thing, and a lot of it is based on how many people are trying to do it for certain images or whatnot. But the best advice that I can give you to get them to start showing up is make sure that you're not, a lot of people, they follow the rules like on the website itself, where they give it an alt tag, they give it a title, but the image itself, they didn't name it right. They named it like image_1-00 or whatever. Name that image. What is that image about? Caption it right. Put it inside the right kind of content. I think if you're doing all that on your blog post, if you're, a lot of times if it's a really good image that's funny or that can be shared on StumbleUpon, instead of just sharing that post, if you have the StumbleUpon toolbar or in Firefox, right-click it and Stumble photo thumb it up. If you're hosting, if you put a lot of images on a Flickr account or another image hosting place, make sure you put the name right there as well, using that keyword of what it is. Refer to it, so it's got a refer from Flickr in it, and you're referring to it on your blog post. Basically, there's doing everything that you can to make sure that that image is properly optimized, from naming it to titling it to captioning it to alt tagging it and titling and all that stuff that you're supposed to do. That's really where it's going to start to really work better for you. It's doing everything right.
Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Matt, I cannot thank you enough for being here and for your absolutely wonderful, wonderful gift. I am so jealous. I am so jealous. I cannot wait to see what it turns out, and I'm just so jealous. I am very, very jealous. So thank you so very much. So very much. I am going to go ahead and steal the controls back from you.
Really quick, if you wouldn't mind me, for those of you that may have been disappointed, and I don't know if you mentioned this or if I did, but anyone that connects with me through our blog or however, if you didn't win this and you want a good discount, we're giving any New Life event attendees 20% off our normal services for these infographics. So.
Nice. Very, very nice. And a lot of these speakers, what they're talking about, they are experts in this field because this is what they do. So that's a really great thing to tell you, is that if you're looking for somebody to help you, then definitely you get in touch with these guys. Tell them you met them at the New Life event and ask for help. That's what they're here for, and they're just really, really great people. So hopefully you'll learn a whole lot this weekend. So anyway, thank you again, Matt. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.